About 3.5 years ago, I stumbled upon a guy called David Goggins. You might as well know him because he has blew up on social media lately in the past 6 months and earlier than that as well. And I discovered him by seeing a TikTok about him running a 100-mile race with broken feet, I think it was, and completely unprepared. And he spoke about things that I haven't ever heard anyone talk about earlier on the internet. And that guy became a huge inspiration to me because, when you see a person who has the things that you wanted to, and at that point, I started to be more into like going to the gym, and I wanted to exercise and do all of these things because I'd started to consume more of these gym influencers' content on social media. So I watched him whilst I was doing like bicep curls with my like 3 kilo dumbbells, and I did that during listening to his podcast with Joe Rogan and just listening to his motivational speeches as well. So he talked a lot about suffering and the importance to suffer if you want to improve and become a greater version of yourself. And what he pinpointed was something that not many people at that point spoke about, because suffering and hard times and hardships are something that people want to avoid at all costs. But he said that we should seek suffering. We should suffer. We should try to purposefully suffer. And he said that once you suffer, you discover who you truly are. Because another very famous quote from his is that in the cold, all dreams die. So when you're in like cold water, or when you're extremely cold and you're freezing and you're shaking, all of your dreams completely just go away and you just want to quit and get out, and you forget why you are there in the first place. So I kept on living my life as usual, and I just lived it, and I kept playing video games, and I didn't really suffer that much. Sometimes I stumble upon a video and I got a burst of motivation to do something after watching his videos or listening to a motivational speech. And I just got burst of motivation, but in general I wasn't consistent with listening to his message and actually applying that to my own life, because I didn't have the discipline and I didn't have the will to actually improve at that point, that I didn't have the exact tools. Because for me, in my own self-improvement journey, what has been one of the greatest things is that I needed tools. I needed the exact pinpointed habit and tactic and why you should have that habit. So for example, when it came to like, you have to suffer, then what he would needed younger me to understand is that you have to suffer because of this and this and this, and here's how you suffer in 3 steps or something like that, because I needed just completely it broken down into the smallest step. But I kept on living my life. And later on, when I actually discovered self-improvement, I started watching more and more David Goggins, because I thought it was really valuable for me to watch a man who went from basically nothing to a guy who is extremely successful and has pushed his body to the limits. And he is just one of the toughest men on the planet currently. He's probably the toughest one, because otherwise we would have heard of them. So since 2022, I've overloaded my amount of suffering. In late 2022, I decided to quit playing video games, and I stopped that entirely. So since that point, I've overloaded how much suffering I go through. So for example, when I first started, it was probably just the discipline to not play video games, and I used that tactic, and then I've overloaded. It means that I have put on more and more burden on myself, because I feel like that is how I grow and how I improve, because otherwise, for me currently, it doesn't require any discipline or any focus or any will to not play video games, because it was such a long time ago I was a video gamer and I had that attached to my own identity. So it's very important for you to always be seeking out some more truths, and also try to be suffering more and more. And I just want to give a quick disclaimer. You have to suffer under controlled circumstances. So what I'm saying is you shouldn't like bang your toe or do something like that, or just punch the wall and break your hand, but do not do that. But what I want you to do instead is you can do habits like cold showers or ice baths, and you can exercise very, very hard, and you can also just sit and stare at the wall. Do things that are boring, that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of effort to get done. You can live without a phone, because these things truly will help you when you're trying to grow as an individual. So the last thing that I want to say is that every day has to be a battle to your continuous desires to go back to that lifestyle. So it's very, very important for you to always overload and find the next thing to suffer on. And you choose at what pace you're going to do this. I would say that you should have a sustainable method for yourself that is proven to work for you, and also not to be doing like huge workouts at first, like 3-hour runs or something like that, because what can happen then is that you just don't do it, because it's so hard to recover from that it will require so much discipline, so much mental pain to just do that. But start small with small things, like taking a quick cold shower, just sitting and staring at your wall for 3 minutes, making your bed every single day in the morning, and just doing small things that will help you grow. And I really hope that you got some value out of this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you can do that. And see you in the next one.